and I'd come across an author or someone had mentioned it and understood it. The name of the book was Lincoln's Battle with God. And it was a fascinating reading, very fascinating reading. I've read accounts of him, when he disdained or
To order. Okay, welcome everyone to the Benton City Council meeting of October 17th, 2023. Let's see, David, since you're late, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Get just a quick second. Jenny, Megan and Margaret are texting in saying that they can hear us, but we can't hear them.
Okay, so Margaret's. Can you hear me? No.
Soundboard, maybe?
Try it again. Yeah.
Oh, here's Jessica.
I can hear you guys in the speaker.
Megan, can you say something?
Can you hear me? Yes, no, maybe so.
Can you hear me? This is Margaret.
Well, it also didn't announce that when it was recording, but it always says now recording.
Yeah. You try something again, Megan?
Is that switch on the back?
Yeah, in the back here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Megan, can you try again?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Any luck?
Can you guys hear me?
Hey, Jen, is your mute on the computer? I wonder if that makes a difference. Is it speaker off?
Under mic.
Oh, yeah.
What about the
Is-
microphone two to the left?
There it is.
off?
Okay.
Go ahead and try that.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we got you guys. Thank you.
Good.
And me? Can you hear me too?
Yeah.
We got you.
And Jessica?
All right.
I'm here. You guys can hear me now.
Okay, thank you. So we will make a note that Jessica Wadsworth is also on the Zoom and in attendance. Okay, we will start with the projects discussion, and I think pardon,
Roll call.
I thought we did.
No.
Oh, we didn't. Oh, okay. All right, we'll do roll call.
Okay. Councilwoman Wadsworth,
Here.
Councilman Sandretto, Councilman Reed,
Here.
Councilwoman Funk, Councilwoman Alcazar,
Here.
Move to excuse Councilwoman Funk.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Reed, aye.
Wadsworth, aye.
Okay. All right. Okay, then the project's description, I think Alan Rainey is gonna do this, or is Nathan gonna talk about these grants and updates?
The RCO grants.
Yes. Okay,
Good evening, council members, Madam Mayor.
good evening.
First item I would like to discuss is the an upcoming RCO grant that is available opening November 14th. The grant award is up to $1.2 million, and it is for community outdoor athletic facilities. So it's for either the purchase of property for an athletic facility or installation of an athletic facility. So eligible projects include rectangular fields for soccer, football, fields for baseball or softball, tracks and courses, skate parks, mountain bike parks, paddling facilities, rock climbing, ice and roller hockey, swimming pools, acquisition of land. Any of those things are eligible items that the city could look into applying for. Some of the things that came to my mind were possible acquisition for sports complex here in town. Would be something that would need to be researched and looked into, but I think it would be a good move for the city of Benton City that would really attract a lot of tournaments and attract a lot of people in. Other option is development of an athletic facility at an existing park. We've got Mountain View, Blacktop, Riverfront. We've got quite a few parks that are essentially grass fields, but this is something where we could use some funding to do some development. The grant again opens November 14th to February 1st, and the award is awarded March 15th of next year. So that kind of gives you an idea our timeline there and what we would need to do. But in a nutshell, that is what the RCO grant that's coming up offers. There is a webinar coming up later this week, I believe, actually, just to give us some more information. And once I attend that, I can provide some more. But I want to let you know that this grant is coming available here in the near future.
You want to inquire on splash pads, I think, on that one, see if that's covered.
Yeah,
I will specifically inquire. I don't believe they are, but I will, when I attend the webinar and they actually submit a grant guide, I will look into that and see what's available.
Thank you.
Megan has her hand raised.
Go ahead, Megan.
Traditionally, projects on the scale of the splash pad fall under the WWRP grant in the spring, which I believe opens around the end of February, beginning of March. I can pull that up for exact dates here in just a minute. Whereas this one is kind of a supplement to that program, focusing specifically on athletic facilities. Also, it got bumped to December for the opening tentatively. It may get pushed back again.
To clarify, Megan, that's for the COAF grant?
Yes, they just
Okay.
bumped it back to December 14th instead of November 14th.
All right. Thank you for letting me know. So that gives us a little more time as well.
Okay.
Always a good thing. Another thing to consider is how you would want this grant to work in conjunction with the larger WWRP grant that could happen in the spring, and how and if updating your pros plan flows into that.
Okay.
And to add to that, the pros plan does need to be updated to be eligible for this COAF grant, and I believe also for the WWRP grant. Megan, do you know if that is accurate?
I know for a fact it has to be done before March for the WWRP. I'm looking at the webpage now for this athletic facilities grant, and it doesn't specifically say that, but generally speaking, they expect us to be in compliance, and we are not right now because our plan expired in June.
So that is something I know we discussed, updating the pros plan, kind of waiting until the I-5 development project was updated. And then we would update the pros plan from there, from what I recall. But it is something that we do need to have on the radar and make sure we're working towards updating our RCO pros plan.
Okay.
Yes, and the timing on that is sensitive. Like, I don't know when the planning for the other will be complete, but it is expected that, let me pull the exact dates up so I'm saying the correct thing. Give me just a second here. Okay. WRCO, WRP grant. And just for reference, WWRP stands for Wildlife and Recreation Projects. Applications open in February. Our plan is due no later than March 1st. And they have a whole manual with updated requirements and things that should ideally be included in the plan. So not to derail any discussions of the athletic facility grant, since it is pending and more immediate than the second grant. But it's a time-consuming project to update your pros plan, so I don't want that to fall by the wayside and have you guys miss out on an opportunity.
To supplement that, looking through the pros plan, I know it requires some public involvement and response. Could be in the form of a survey or a public hearing, but those are just things to keep in mind, that those things do take time. So we would want to plan, in advance, gathering that information from the public for the update of the plan. It's not something we want to wait till February to start doing. We want to have that information available to the public to respond to, so then a plan can be put together based on the public's response.
So you're recommending this fall, starting that process?
Yes, I would recommend that.
I would second that.
Bring back a task order for whoever's doing it.
Yeah,
It'll be key to figure out who is going to take ownership of updating the plan as well. In the past, it was done by volunteer hours, I believe. Sue volunteered extra time to complete the plan for the city of Benton. However, if I'm doing a grant now and then a grant immediately following for Benton City, I'm not going to have the capacity to update the plan. So that's something ideally that would be taken up by Parks and Rec or city planning, maybe taking the old version, comparing it against the new requirements, such as the public feedback, and then using the old template to create a new version of the plan.
George, what's your capacity to handle that?
Depending on when it's due, we have two rather large subdivisions we're reviewing, but I can take a look at it.
Work with Nathan. If you can't take it on your plate, get us a task order. Let's get it taken care of. Anybody got an objection to that statement?
Not at all.
no,
And I'm happy to support. I just can't spearhead it if I'm writing grants at the same time. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Next item on the agenda is the capital facilities project priority survey. I would ask if we can change the order, and if I can provide the engineering report next, and then we can move on to the survey, because that's kind of the meat and potatoes of this meeting.
I have no objections. Council, do you have objections?
None.
Okay, I'll move forward with the engineering report, and then we will finish with our capital facilities survey. Did I find my engineering report?
long as there's tax included, brother.
There is tax included. I'm not going to read out through every one of these. I just want to provide a brief update on the projects that we are seeing some minor progress on. We'll start with recreation area and boat launch. So we did meet with the Benton PUD to determine the best options for routing power for light poles over to that area. The PUD has mentioned that they can install a transformer for us at no charge at the corner of, well, it's at it's about a block down on Abbey Road, so it's not right on the highway. And then it would be our responsibility to run power from that transformer over to the park to install any lights, whatever we would need to do there. So we are still investigating those options. I did get a price from an electrician a couple months ago on running just power from the corner of the highway, SR 225, down the park, and that was approximately $70,000. So now we're running it an extra 50, 100 feet, I would say. One option that Alan and I have talked about is looking into solar lights instead. We're still investigating that. We want to make sure these lights would maintain light during the winter when the sun isn't out, that they would maintain the brightness that's needed during the nighttime. But it would definitely be a very large cost savings option for us if we go with a solar powered outdoor lighting on a light pole commercial grade instead of running power out there. The only difference, we had hoped if we run power, it would provide a few convenience outlets out there for the park goers, but wouldn't be able to offer those. But again, it gets us the lighting that we need. So we're continuing to research that, and we will have some more information as we move forward.
Just bring options.
We can do that. Moving on to the second page. The railroad bridge, working on the NEPA application and the SEPA application. There are pending reports from some of our consultants regarding a biological study for endangered species, the cultural resources survey and the requirements there. A phase 1 environmental site assessment and wetland delineation. Those are verified that there are wetlands on the site, but we don't have the full report yet to see what the impact that will take. One thing I do want to mention with this one, we do have a $2 million grant that has not yet been accepted by the city. There is no time frame where it has to be accepted based on the webinars I've attended and discussions with our grants management specialist. They will reach out to us in December if we have not accepted yet. But I do believe it's something that should be considered and looked at by the city. And I think it's a great opportunity to look at that bridge, possible start negotiations and see what kind of funds are needed up front for the purchase or lease. I know that those discussions have been made, but I think it's something that does need to be brought to the table and discussed. Riverfront Park, we also working on the same NEPA and SEPA checklist. We're doing Riverfront Park and the railroad bridge all together in one. And so waiting on the surveys back again as well. We did meet with PUD there as well, running power and lights. And it's the same conversation as the boat launch park. They'll give us a transformer at no charge over at the treatment plant, and we then will pay to run power from there. Because that one is a little more wanting to develop it more like a park, possible gazebo and an event area. We probably do want to actually run power there. We're going to have a public restroom there with lights, probably going to need some heat so pipes don't freeze. We do recommend running power, and we're still getting costs on that, but that's quite a ways down the road when we will be at that phase. We're still need to accept the grant, look at purchasing the bridge, and finish up the NEPA and SEPA evaluations. Blacktop Estates Park the grading is moving forward. We're hoping to have the grading completed by the end of this month, and then fencing, boulders, and irrigation all scheduled within the next few months, be complete by the end of the year. You got any more pages of that report, Carla? I know there was more.
I don't think so.
Thank you. The other park fencing, Mountain View and Legion Park, are also scheduled within the next few weeks. So I plan to have all of that complete by end of November. We're moving forward on lift station 5 and the water and sewer system generators, waiting for our electrical engineer's report. The reline of wet well number 1 is in process. They started yesterday setting up the equipment and installing the bypass pumping. So that will be complete by the end of October as we anticipated. And the last one is City Hall project. So last discussion, council asked that we provide options to them as to what we would recommend or what options are available for City Hall. A few things that I want to mention. We did meet with an architect to discuss costs to develop some floor plans. We used an old plan that we had on file regarding building a new building next to the library. I don't know if you guys remember that or have seen those plans. Preliminary numbers for a building that size is roughly $300 a square foot. If you look at 7,000 square foot, which was the size of that building, that's about $2.1 million for a build that size. So that kind of gives you an idea. If we're looking at building a building, $300 per square foot is a good number to look at. That building looked sufficient, maybe a little large in the actual council chambers, but not a lot of reduction there considering the staff space that is needed, archive space, all of that. So kind of gives a rough number what we're looking at. If we do want an architect to drop some plans, we can include it in our task order for a minimal fee. Other information that I'd like to provide. So Madam Mayor did forward me an appraisal that we received on the City Hall. And the very last page was kind of a final evaluation of the building. And based on that evaluation, they said the building's value as it sits is about at $125,000. That does seem low. We can pay for another appraisal, but again, it's another $250 for an appraisal. But if the estimate for a building that was repaired was about $525,000. So if we look at what our estimates are to repair the building, it doesn't look like the investment would be returned because we're looking at a good $600,000 to $700,000 between asbestos abatement and facility repairs, where the building itself in a repaired condition would sit about $525,000. So those are just information I'm providing regarding the existing City Hall and regarding the building of a new structure. There are no grants available that I'm aware of at this time for building of a new building. But again, it's something that we could continue to keep our eyes open and see if something comes available. Or again, grants we do have the $300,000 grant for asbestos abatement and demolition, but that grant is specifically stated for asbestos abatement and demolition. So there will be some minor repairs. We could probably incorporate that as necessary repairs, probably some electrical upgrades of the panel, but not full repair of the facility or structure.
And that was the one that said we had to hold it for 10 years.
That's correct.
Right, okay.
We had to
reinvest it, right?
Yeah, you could sell the building, but then the proceeds from that sale have to go towards the same thing. So if you sold it, then you could take that money and then put it towards a City Hall. One question that I had that had not gotten answered because the specific language in the grant was you can sell the building and then purchase a new building. The question I had was, well, can you sell the building and use those funds to buy a building or to build a building, not purchase a building? And that question has not been answered yet. So it was a question that went up to the Attorney General's office. So.
Good answer.
I'll make some calls. That's everything that I have. Any questions or comments on engineer report?
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, so the last item on our agenda, the paper's all over here now. Sorry, that's making a mess. Is the capital facilities project priority survey. So that survey was, I believe it was sent to everybody. Do you guys have copies of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in the packet.
Okay. So for our planning, our facilities planning, what Madam Mayor thought would be best was to look at the list of projects that we have listed as historical projects that were part of our capital facilities plans and other items that have come up as items of interest by City Council and Madam Mayor. And we would ask that you take some time to prioritize those so that we can then look at what, as council and Madam Mayor, what you guys would like to proceed with. And then we can start putting a plan together. I think Alan's gonna make some copies, some hard copies for you guys. If you have questions on a project, as you're looking through the list, probably ask Alan better than I, because he's been here much longer than me, but we'll do our best to answer those questions for you.
Do you have a copy?
Yeah.
I have two now, so yeah, if anybody else needs an extra one.
Then we probably look at it.
Jessica, just to confirm, are you able to access the project prioritization survey list that was in the packet?
Yes.
Thank you.
Something that was pointed out on this survey form is on the second page under the parks. There is under P4, there's a splash pad, and P7, there's a splash pad. So we're just trying to get the most votes for the splash pad. So let's just cross out the P4, because I think the P7 was the latest go around when we were looking at the splash pad and applying for it. I believe that was the cost. was 712.
Hey, Alan. On page one, W 10. We have dead end line at Kitty connected to 11th. Isn't that the one they just did with the new subdivision?
Well, they connected that from Kitty, it goes kind of over to where kind of 9th is and up into the subdivision. But there's a section that goes from that area to the west that we'd like to connect up from Kitty and 11th there. And long-term, we'd like to abandon the line that's back behind or in the easement.
It goes kind of
Going through the middle of the block.
diagonal through the block, yeah.
Yeah. So we'd like to eliminate that section at some point.
Thank you.
Yep.
The water line replacement on 10, why is that a issue?
And Ellen saying, I believe. I remember, I believe that's a 4-inch. Either 4-inch or 6-inch steel line, I believe.
You want to change that to PVC?
And upgrade it to an 8-inch.
How was that?
It's a bad everything.
Oh,
Next door.
could have been a vacuum cleaner.
Or the ghost. I don't know.
Alan?
Yeah.
Can you help me understand S6, the WWTP second irrigation basin? It says ecology future, but I just wanna clear understanding.
Right, so I don't know if you remember when we went down to the treatment plant.
Mhm.
So after it goes into the headworks and the lift station that we're relining now, it goes over into into the aeration basin where you saw all the air blowing up in there. So right now, there's some things that we'd probably like to maintain on that, get in there and change some things out. But with the way it's set up, we can't do that because it has to be running 24/7. And so we'd like to build another one of those. The plant is designed for a second one. And so we build that same thing. So then we can run water, the wastewater into that, turn the other one offline and go in and make repairs.
Okay, so right now, if it were to break, if something were to break inside of there, we wouldn't have a backup.
Yeah, we would have to be creative about how we go in and kind of maintain it or update it.
Okay.
The one thing with that is once we reach 85% of the design flow,
Mhm.
Then you have to start, you go into doing an engineering report, an evaluation of the whole system. So you can, at that point, expand your system.
Okay.
So, and that's why we have ecology, because usually you can get grant loan combo through ecology.
Okay,
Um,
because they don't want any spills.
no. And that's only one source of funding too, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
so that's on the horizon. I think we're at about 60% now,
okay,
but talking with Wade, we went from about 45 to 50% up to 60% with all the new housing that's gone in, so.
and that's not considering the ones that are under construction now currently, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
So at some point, we'll reach that threshold and we'll have to start planning for the updates.
okay.
Ecology will let you know.
Streets 8,
What's that?
Streets 8. It's Edith Avenue completion. Is that Edith and 13th or Edith and 224 or 225?
Edith and 13th.
Edith and 13th. Reading it back.
Let's see, what number was that? Oh, either that, yeah, that's that little section.
Yeah.
Alan's really been wanting to finish that street. It's been like a constant.
Almost, almost.
Well, I believe there's application for two more homes on the north side. So we'll get another section of street completed. So there'll be a little bit less that the city would have to do.
Is that street curb and gutter or is that
Yeah.
anything infrastructure?
It's curb and gutter, the infrastructure is already there. The one thing that we would maybe look at. So there's a lot that faces 13, and there's two more lots. On the south side that probably will not be developed. At least,
Probably not.
yeah. We may look at trying to run some kind of street lighting into that section. I think you probably could use it. So, but we'll look at that when the day comes, when we start working on it. Something I just noticed that we didn't have on here is on the streets. We don't have the completion of Kendall Road. That small section from the park to 13th. And I would guess that's probably 200,000. And that would be to finish the sidewalk and widening of the road. And I do know that Benton REA has drawn up plans to put all the power underground up to the corner.
Letting you know that are completed.
Are we supposed to put our names on them or are they anonymous?
I want to know who did what.
Name, date of birth.
That's right.
And I guess, how do we want to do this? Do you want us just to kind of tally them up and bring them back for the next meeting, or?
Yeah.
Okay. And that way then we can get one from Jessica and Sarah also.
Of course, I would pen, so I'm gonna know.
Yeah.
You ready?
Not really, but you can take it.
So as Alan mentioned, we'll tally up the information and collect the surveys from Jessica and Sarah as well for the next meeting. That's everything that we have to discuss at the planning workshop meeting. Any other items, questions, comments that council or Madam Mayor would have?
Wondering how come I didn't get $1.7 billion.
That is the golden question, isn't it?
It is. No, we appreciate everything you do.
Very much so.
We know there's a lot to what's going on in this town.
Well, it's a pleasure working for the city. We enjoy it. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
How much do you
So-
pay him to say that, Alan?
Oh, I'm paying a lot.
Was that with or without tax?
So, with that, we'll call this meeting adjourned and take a 10-minute break until 7 o'clock.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Meeting is closed.